I hope you're all well. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Tak, and I'm part of the great team that leads the youth here at Sheffield Christian Life Centre. Today I'm going to tell you a little bit about my testimony and how I came to know Jesus Christ. Before I get started, I have to warn you, I'm not the best storyteller, but I'm going to really try my best. And I'd like to also say, from looking back at my journey, and as I was putting this story together, I learned, and to put it in a nutshell of my whole testimony, is that God really calls us to His purpose, and He has a plan for our lives, and He formed us just as He meant to, and He knows us better than anyone else does. So, my first realization that there was more than just us here, and that God really existed, occurred to me a few years after I was 3 and 4. The reason being is that when I was around these ages, I remember always having gone to church with my family. My mum, my dad, my twin brother, and my older brother was older than me by 4 years. I remember we attended a Methodist church, and I remember there was a lot of singing, a lot of smartly dressed people, and a lot of shiny shoes. But it wasn't really so much the church services that made me believe that there was more to life than just us. It was more the events that took place and where they brought me to when I was those ages. When I was around 4 years old, I went on a walk with my brother, a normal walk, and in Zimbabwe it was fine to go around walking when you were really young. You didn't have to worry about anything. And we went on this walk we used to go on quite a lot. And we came to this part where we crossed this bridge. And we've crossed this bridge many times before. But this one particular time, I must have lost my footing and fell into a river, and I got swept away, and I did not know how to swim. So it swept me all the way down, and I got to a point where I was really, really scared, and I thought the worst, really. And out of nowhere, this man that was a prisoner and was working the grounds in that bit of forest and that we were, he jumped in and he grabbed me out of the water, and he saved my life basically. I never knew who he was, but when we got back home, because my mum worked at the prison, she sort of knew who the person was, and they found out that he got transferred not too long after that. The more I think about that situation, and as the older I got, I realised at this time I knew that someone had my back. I felt like someone had my back then, and that, along with the fact that I had malaria when I was very young and I was a very ill child, I spent a lot of time in hospital, and I remember most of it not seeing my brother or my family very much. It built like a resilience in me and a belief that I was always going to be alright after I experienced a trial. And just from that young age, I just knew that there was something or someone looking after me. I just wasn't sure. Like, obviously, I was too young then to comprehend what was really going on. But even the story of us moving to England, that was a bit of not next to impossible, and how my mum landed on her feet and managed to get us to move to England. Got this and alongside other things that happened when I was younger. It really shaped me as a young person at that age, and I just felt like there was something more to life. So yeah, talking about moving to England. Moved to England as a family when I was 8 years old. It was a very hard move for us culturally. Well, for me especially culturally. It took me a while to get used to making friends, like at school and stuff. And I'd found myself, at that time I didn't know what it was, but I'd found myself just being down and anxious and quite fearful, and a bit timid actually. Um, yeah, and we as a family went through a few struggles that I didn't really able, I wasn't really able to deal with at that time. I didn't understand what was going on. Um, but we've also like had a hard time looking for school, getting into the right schools that we wanted to. But we eventually managed to get into a school that my mum had hoped for us to go to, and it was around the corner from the house. Next to the school, there was a church attached to it called St Patrick's. So as a family, we started going to this church, and over time, we really got to know the congregation, and the priest there, Father Peter, who was amazing. I just remember being so caring and such a loving person. I was just like quite shocked at that age of how caring and how much he really cared about our family and other families in the congregation. Um, so yeah, around the age of 8 and 9, I got baptized. Um, it was sort of like a rite of passage there in a Roman Catholic church. It was something I took seriously, and so did the other kids that were my age in that church, and it was sort of a thing that we did. And shortly after that, we also got confirmed, and yeah, I felt like and expected to be really transformed because when you get baptized at a young age, you expect this massive transformation in that you're never gonna be the same again. But looking back now, I was actually pretty young to really take it for what it actually is like. Even though I understood what I was taught and what I was doing, it was really hard to comprehend all that I was actually getting into. And yeah, not long past after that I fell into a few things as I really looked at my older brother as a role model for everything. I tried to copy him whatever he did. And one of the things he did was he was a very naughty child, like really misbehaved and disobedient, and one of the craziest children you'd ever meet. And as a teenager, he just had it rough. And I just like looked up at him. I looked up like at him as a role model, and naturally, as you know, it's not a great thing to look up to someone like that. But at that age, that's who was in front of me. And so going to year 7, I found myself getting into difficulties, making friendships, and I got into a couple of fights that meant my mum had to come into school. And this was extremely embarrassing for me. And at that stage, I decided that that's the line that I shouldn't cross ever again. I can copy my brother's behaviours, but up until that line. But one thing that it did teach me was playing football. I loved to play football. My brother played football a lot, and I was like, I'm doing this. And I got really good at it, and I ended up playing for Sheffield Wednesday. Now, my school life sort of turned around basically on the outside. People could see me this confident, this popular guy that played football, and everyone wanted to know me back then in school, and it was like, it was great. It was really good. But inside, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety and fear, and this was amplified when I was then released from football clubs. I was released from Sheffield Wednesday and a few other football clubs after this, and after that I just felt like life was a bit boring and average, and there was not many things to look forward to. Um, so I had a tough end to high school, in my opinion, and it was pretty hard. But in the middle of high school, we had moved houses, and then we moved churches as well. So we started going to the Church of England. It was a pretty high Church of England. They had the acolytes, incense, and it was like very, very high church. And at that time, I spoken to my brother a few times, and he taught me that just the importance of just being a servant to my parents. And I was just so shocked. I was like, "Who's this guy?" Like before, like it was only a few years ago. You were such a naughty child and all this stuff, and I was looking at you and like, he's not really the best role model. But my brother went through one of the greatest transformations I ever knew. He started hanging around new people, started attending a new church, and the way God worked in his life just like it mesmerized me because I knew him almost better than anyone else. I knew what it was like, and to see him change and start having these conversations with me about being a servant and how to be a good son and how to relate to people, it really formed the end of my high school years. And yeah, I found myself doing what I used to do back in the day, where I wanted to mimic his behaviours, but I think I got better at it. I started like listening to his phone calls when I was on the phone to people from church. Um, I would listen into him when I was praying, or with notes he'd wrote when he was reading his Bible. I used to sneak in his room and read them. I don't even think he knows this stuff. I'd read them and see what I was writing and stuff like that. And yeah, it was just like incredible. But one day he came back from church and he said that there's been a word that was spoken on our family and for me and my sibling, my other brother. And I was like, my first encounter with anything to do with prophecy. And I was very scared, I was quite fearful, but at the same time I was quite encouraged. Um, Basically, someone at the church had prophesied that I would be in ministry in some sort of form in church, and I'll be serving, and I'll be um, partly involved in prophecy. Um, and I was hearing this, so that at like maybe 15, I was like really scared. I was thinking, what is this all about? But it was also sort of comforting as well. But yeah, fast forward a few more years. It was maybe the start of sixth form. Um, I'd had a week where I was suffering from fevers. I'd been suffering from a fever for quite a few days now. But do you know when you're ill and you sometimes get bored or sick and tired of people doing things for you? That was exactly where I was during this illness, and I was thinking I'm done with people doing things for me. So it swayed me into like deciding to tidy up this very kitchen around about 1 a.m. at night when everyone was in bed. And I started tidying up, I wiped, swept up around everywhere, and I was getting ready to put things away. I put the stuff away and I got ready to go to bed. But as I was getting ready to go to bed, like literally getting out the door, I just felt an urge to pray, and this wasn't something new to me. I prayed before I went to bed, and I just felt like, oh, I just need to spend some time with God whilst I'm downstairs and everyone is asleep. Let me just pray and just meet with Him. I don't really remember much of the prayer, but apart from clearly asking God to come and meet me, because I was felt so ill at that time, and boy, did He meet me. Like, remember my whole fear about anything prophecy, all things supernatural. Well, I was about to live it. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I can only describe it as a genuine peace. Like, I asked God to do a particular thing that night, and it happened, and I felt my whole arm and chest, just an unnatural warmth, nothing I'd ever experienced before. And yes, I know I had a fever, and I've had fevers after that, and believe me, this was nothing like I've ever experienced. Um, and it was incredible. I just felt so calm and at peace. But what was more incredible about this whole moment is that night I like screamed and I was like crying and I just got a bit like frantic after a bit. Like I felt this real peace inside, but I just then amplified it and I was like tearing up. And I ended up like calling my whole family downstairs from the slumber, and I had my mum, my dad, and my brother. And for the first time in my life, I found myself talking to them without any shame or any fear about the gospel, and telling them that everything's going to be alright. And this had never happened before in my family, like not like this. Like we're a really loving family, and but we never show embrace or like hugging each other. That was like not normal. But when I told them, I just remember seeing the faces like, what on earth just happened? Come here, let us hug you. And they were just like all like smiling. And this is something that's probably only ever been done once in my family. Um, and from this day though, I remember making a commitment that whatever happens, I'm going to live for God. And I gave my life to Him, and I was like, like it's something that I never before in a way I've never ever done before. And everything I'd learned from church and listening to sermons, it just came real to me in that time. And I wanted to change my life and my habits and just to live for Him alone. And I felt a hunger and a passion to just serve God. And for me at this age, it looked like stopping swearing, stopping the little high school and school dating that I was doing, and just being like immature. I'd stop sleeping, falling asleep in church services, and I'd really have an intentional prayer life and read my Bible. It started me on a whole new chapter. I was a fresh-faced young boy on fire, was really rather sheltered at life in terms of growing up, but I was extremely naive in parts of life, and I had this vision of life that God had planned for me, and I was like, I'm going to set out and get this, and this is where it's going to be. There's no stopping me now. And in places, I thought I had life figured out. I remember getting to the point where I actually didn't think I needed to put effort into things, like if it was schoolwork or going to work, and that as long as I prayed to God, did the right things, said the right things, I was always going to find nothing was ever going to go wrong. Over time, this thinking made me like unambitious. Um, it really just yeah, it just made me. I was such a very sheltered person, and especially I got before I got to university. But I really felt like nothing could throw me off and or phase me. At the start, this was true and fine, and it really actually helped me in life. In terms of life direction, like it helped me meet people that are very important in my life right now, and I had no doubt that these people needed to be in my life. Um, that my first two real good Christian friends and Christian like relationships with people my age, and it was just incredible that I just knew these people were meant to be in my life. This was the same actually, because not long after this, I was going into university, and it came to time to choosing the church I'm going to attend at university. Through prayer and asking God, I knew exactly which church I was going to attend, and I felt pretty sturdy. I got into contact with a guy called Dan, introduced me to Holminster. I met some amazing people, and God blessed me with amazing friends, experiences, role models, spiritual mum and dads, and siblings. And I was able to serve as part of the kids team there, and help out at events, and got some amazing life changing events and gatherings. It was incredible. However, university was also like the worst part of my life. As I mentioned on Father's Day, when I did a talk in church, it really shocked me to the core, and I experienced a difference in culture. And for the first time in my life, I really experienced depression. I got involved in certain attitudes and rhythms and behaviours that really took me to the depths of my mental capabilities. Um, I was getting involved in things like heavy drinking that I never really ever used to do, and my attitudes just became a bit toxic. Um, at times, I even questioned my faith. I just wanted to get out. I didn't know what I needed and how to get to where I needed. Um, all to the point of even considering to commit suicide. And a lot of stuff happened at university that took the entire naivety out of me, and literally life hit me really hard. It was this time I really started to fully comprehend what grace was. From experience in life in the midst of trials, and just open up to God and say, God, look, I'm not in control, you are. And I want you to have my life. Like, I really want you to have these horrible times as well. I don't want you just to have you in the fun time, but I want you to work with me, because I can't do it by myself. Um, I really discovered an outpouring of love like never before, and Jesus was really my friend through this time. And God spoke to me so clearly through people. Um, he was telling me that he loved me and he was proud of me, and despite all these things and troubles I got myself into, he just wanted me on his side, and that he cannot love me any more than he did. Um, and it's just incredible. And in this time, there were specific spoken words that really overwhelmed me. I'd gone to a church event called Fusion, and this one guy from a church movement in Hungary was stood next to me after one of the prayer sessions, and he came over to me and introduced himself, and he began to speak into my life. And one of the things he said to me was that God knew I wanted to quit playing football or the sports team. And you have to understand, I'd never met this man ever in my life. And he came with this word at a time where I was pretty ill, and I was thinking of stopping football, and I thought it was the best and most sensible idea, and it would take me away from that toxic environment I was getting involved in. And this guy in short just said, God doesn't want you to worry about this. He releases you, and he wants you to stay in this, and there's a purpose for you in this place that you're in. I then went on to play football at university for 2 more years. Now, the best years of my life, and I had a great conversation with lads that I had not done previously. One of these lads actually ended up coming to church with me, and I met a friend now. He's the Caller brother, and this part of my life story really taught me how important and incredible it is to let God into our hurts and all the dark situations in our lives, and really letting him into it all. I learned that this whole thing of testimony is truly a journey, and it's full of emotions and feelings and great ups and downs, that once you make the decision to follow God, it's for life. It's for the journey. Like, I'm not perfect right now. I know I'm not perfect, but I've learned so much through this walk with God, to know that he truly upholds us and he can work with anything. We know how damaged we are. We know how damaging we can be to people. But God knows the worst things we've ever done and the worst things we'll ever do. And he stretches his arms out for us. He stretches his arms out to us, and he still says, come, son, come, daughter. I will never forsake you. And he wants to be part of our journeys. And for me, it's just been such an incredible journey so far. And I'm just looking forward to seeing all the great things that God's got planned for me and all my friends. And yeah, it's just amazing. It's so incredible. And I hope this testimony really helps someone out there, even just one person. That's the best thing I've ever done when I was 15, when I gave my life to Jesus, and just wanted to run with him. Even though I was pretty sheltered after that, I really experienced life. Just to the worst of it, to the fact that I wanted to commit suicide, I held on, and I was like, God, I'm not going to jump off working with you. I really want to go through these dark times with you. No matter how dark it gets, I want to go through them with you. And yeah, if you're going through a hard time, honestly, it will come to pass. God has got a massive plan for your life. And I really, truly believe that. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you have a great day. Cheers.